Hello, I am the webmaster of anunseenworld.com. My name is Gary Goodworth, and today we're going to talk about the black horse of the apocalypse. So let's get straight into the scripture here. This comes from Revelation chapter 6, beginning with the verse 5. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. Before we get into what this black horse represents, let's do a brief recap on the white horse and the red horse. Most dispensationalist teachers believe the white horse is a representation of the coming Antichrist. Some believe that the white horse represents a world system, and that world system is Catholicism. And the dispensationalist view of the red horse is the white horse represents the Antichrist, and he comes to power on a peace platform, but in the middle of his peace war breaks out, and many people are killed during this war. Another viewpoint is that the red horse represents the world system called communism. That's just a brief recap. You can go back and look at those videos. But today we're going to talk about the black horse. The rider on the black horse has a pair of balances in his hand. This has to do with the economy. Economics have always been a concern of mankind, and this present world system revolves around economics. The dispensational or futurist view has this rider on the black horse bringing famine upon the entire world, because if you have war, the red horse, what follows war is famine, people struggling to find food because crops and stuff have been destroyed, factories that make food have been destroyed, supply chains have been cut off, this kind of thing. So, from the futurist point of view, the white horse brings a false peace to the world. The red horse is the war that breaks out from the false peace, and the black horse brings a famine and inflation upon the world. If you look at this verse closely, it says, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. But uh, that's not quite accurate. I think the King James version says denarius, but it's not a penny. It's not a measure of wheat for a penny. I'm not sure what translation I used here, but that term there means for a day's wages. A measure of wheat for a day's wages. Or 3 measures of barley for day's wages. Bread will be so scarce it'd take you a day's wages to buy a loaf of bread. But it also says, see thou not hurt the oil and the wine. That means people who are wealthy will not be affected by this. Only the middle class and lower class people will struggle mightily with this black horse rider. As I've said before, another viewpoint of the black horse can be a representation of a world system. Some believe the white horse represents Catholicism, the red horse represents communism, and the black horse represents capitalism. Now, when you read from this verse, there is a glaring point here. There will be a huge distribution, a gap of a huge excuse me, getting tongue tied again. There'll be a huge gap in the distribution of wealth. We see this happening now. CEOs of huge corporations make huge amounts of money, but as they're underpaid employees who provide much of the labor. Hyperinflation will render any working man or woman poor, but the wealthy can ride it out. And the whole world today seems to be on the verge of financial collapse. There's already much famine in third world countries, and this is due to terrorist and corrupt governments. They steal the food supplies that other countries send in to help feed the starving, but the hungry never get the food. The rider in the black horse and the red horse parallels what Jesus prophesied in Matthew 24. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places. And all these are the beginning of sorrows. This is why, one of the reasons I think, especially the first 6 seals of the book of Revelation, because Jesus exists outside of time and space, and these prophecies seem to have a future application and a present application as well, and they could represent both. But it is Jesus who opens the seals, and chapters 1 through 5 of the book of Revelation seem to indicate that the church is in heaven when Jesus opens the seals. But like I said, heaven exists outside of time and space, and from heaven's viewpoint, everything is now. And there have been famines. There still are famines. There's inflation. Certain countries experience inflation, but this black horse rider seems to bring this hyperinflation upon the whole world when it is released. Let's examine this verse from the viewpoint that it could represent capitalism. The flag of capitalism is black and yellow. Yellow, of course, symbolizes gold, while black represents anarchy, which is the simple absence of recognized public government. The black market operates on the principle of anarchy and thrives during times of economic turmoil and chaos. According to Scripture, what will be the end of capitalism? During the millennial reign, I don't believe there will be either Catholicism, communism, or capitalism. But listen to what James 5 says about this, verses 1 through 3. Come now, you rich, weep and howl for your miseries that are coming upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver are corroded, and their corrosion will be a witness against you, and will eat your flesh like fire. You have heaped up treasure in the last days. Mankind's wealth, their material wealth, will absolutely do them no good at all during the tribulation period, because all wealth will come to naught. Gold, silver, and tungsten, although highly valued in today's world to produce jewelry such as tungsten wedding bands, will become worthless. People who hoard wealth today will one day lose it all. Worldly worth has no eternal value unless it is used to further the gospel of Jesus Christ. In conclusion, the black horse of the apocalypse seems to represent a rider who will bring hyperinflation upon the world, and only those who are wealthy will be able to buy luxuries. And we see the beginnings of this today. I live in the United States of America. Our country is, I think, $36 trillion in debt. That's a figure so astronomically high, we can't even imagine it. And since all countries' economies are interconnected, it wouldn't take much to bring it all crashing down. So if the white horse represents the Antichrist coming on a peace platform, but the peace is broken and war breaks out, then the war causes all this interconnectedness between the countries just to collapse. Then, people can't buy luxuries without working a whole day just for a loaf of bread. It's going to be a bad time, but we see previews of this in today's world, but I think we will see the complete fulfillment of this when the tribulation period starts, sometime during the tribulation period. Thank you for being with me today. We got another horse of the apocalypse to go, and we'll go over that next week. Have a good day. God bless.